Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be back with you guys on the third day of August. Can you believe that summer is almost over? Yes, it's the third day of August, and it was a typically cool August day here in the Chicagoland area. Today, for the next 2 days, we're only going to be in the mid to high 70s. It was all a great day, and total a few rain showers throughout the city, but all in all, beautiful day. And you don't have to run your air conditioner tonight. You can open up your windows and get some fresh air. So I'm back with another exciting show for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. I've deemed the entire month of August Chat Daddy's Health and Wellness Month. And so every night during the month of August, we're going to have different experts on health and wellness, even situations of life-saving scenarios that will help people to live a much better life. And that's what this show is all about. Free advice, entertaining, but yet, we move in the right direction to get us all being together as one. Well, my co-host this evening is an amazing young lady. She is an author, a speaker, and an educator. She is the founder of Fighting Fiercely Endometriosis Awareness. And so to kick off our August Health and Wellness platform, we're going to talk to her tonight about what is endometriosis. And am I still sounding choppy, Michelle?
A little bit, yeah.
Is it?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, it's like that with the Wi-Fi. Is it better now?
I got you. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, very good. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Our co-host, Michelle N. Johnson. Hello, Michelle. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. You know, I always enjoy coming on to chat with you.
Well, I love you so very much. Michelle, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You're Chicago born and raised. Share a little your backstory so that the audience can get to know you tonight.
Absolutely. Well, for those of you guys who are joining us who are not aware, as Art said, my name is Michelle N. Johnson, and I am the founder of the Fighting Fiercely Endometriosis Awareness Movement here in Chicago. I am also the author of Fighting Fiercely Unveiling the Unknown About Endometriosis. And my awareness movement is basically a platform where I aim to educate, enlighten, and empower people about all things endometriosis related. I started my advocacy movement back in 2010 after my own diagnosis with stage 4 endometriosis and all of the challenges that I faced and the way that it completely changed my life. And so as a result of that, I have dedicated my life to being a support system and a mentor and educator, not only for those diagnosed with the disease, but also the family members and friends and relationships of those who are affected by the disease as well.
Well, Michelle, I appreciate you for that. I do. Very good. Also coming up on tonight's show, we are honored to welcome an award-winning author, world-renowned speaker. Her name is Chong Kim, and she has been working to end sexual exploitation and human trafficking for nearly 2 decades now. She has a powerful story, Michelle. I'm excited to hear her story tonight and just connect with her and just, it's all about how do we heal? It's all about where do we go from here? There have been 2 stories in the news recently of young women who have been caught up in cases of sexual trafficking. And so I would think she'd be perfect to kick off our month about health and wellness, because even traumatic situations like that, you'd have to go back to health and wellness.
Absolutely. I was reading a little bit about her bio and her story, and it was very powerful. So I'm excited for her to come and to hear what she has to say.
All right. Well, Michelle, are you ready to get underway tonight? Do you got your anchor woman hair tonight? And you got your anchor woman teeth. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Listen, let me tell you about this hair. This quarantine has, I think, forced us all to revisit the idea of the kitchen beautician. I think we all have no choice but to get creative. So this is me in this quarantine hair making it happen.
Yes. Well, that's the same way I tell people when this part starts getting really wide, that means like a lot of new growth. And that means I got to
Right?
take a little spit or something and hold that new growth
And
down. But
slick
that
it
part be
down.
getting
Yes.
wide. That part get wide, baby. So I understand. But you look great tonight and glad to
Thank
have you
you.
here. All right, we want to start off with announcing the latest COVID-19 numbers here in the state of Illinois. Illinois announced 1,298 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 as of Monday. The state also reported 10 additional fatalities. Illinois now has 183,241 total known cases of COVID-19, and we are now standing at 7,526 new or total fatalities.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
Michelle, how have you been making it through this? You know, you and I'm so happy and proud of you. You're in the process of becoming an 8825 fellow, and I'm a graduate from last year, you know, and we are very passionate about helping those with disabilities as well as identifying
Yes.
with our disabilities. And so, how have you been dealing with this whole COVID pandemic?
You know, it has been a challenge for sure. You know, as you mentioned, not only being a person who identifies with an invisible illness, but also being an asthmatic, someone who is respiratory compromised, and the fact that endometriosis can affect your autoimmune system. When all of this happened, it was very, very scary initially. And as you mentioned, you know, being a licensed massage therapist and someone who works in health and wellness, you know, we didn't know what to make of things when all of this happened. But even before the city closed down, I made the ethical decision for my own health and wellness, not knowing what was to come. I decided to quarantine myself, and I made the decision to stop working with the public until I had more information for myself or a better, clearer understanding as to what was happening. And then couple of days later, the state shut down, and it's just been a day by day learning and growing experience. It's definitely developed a new normal, but being a person who acquired their disability, redefining normal is nothing new for
Mm-hmm.
me. So I've
Mm-hmm.
definitely been going with the flow
Yeah.
during this.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more. Because of a pre-existing health condition, and now the list is getting bigger and bigger of things that, you know, if you are obese, you could catch
Mm-hmm.
COVID quicker. If you have heart conditions, you can catch COVID quicker. Cancer,
Yeah.
you know that. And so, you know, I'm trying to keep myself out of harm's way. I'm trying to stay as healthy as possible. I continue to do this every night so that I can continue to keep my skills up
Yes.
par, as well as presenting my audience with a wonderful show. But Michelle, I'm petrified. I don't know if I'd ever be able to go back into a work environment ever again unless they put me in a glass bubble by myself for the 8 hours I would be at work. Honey, I don't know if I could do that. What do you think? Would you be able to go back into a work environment?
You know, this has actually been a huge point of discussion within the massage therapy community because our whole livelihood is centered around touch. And I do miss working with my clients. I do miss that compassionate and that healing touch. But I'm like you, to be honest, there's still so much that we just don't know. And I'm like you, I don't think that I'm ready to put myself into what could potentially be a compromising position. And I think our industry, along with a lot of others that are centered around touch and communication and close interaction with the public, I think we may continue to see a decline, you know, before we see any measure of improvement. So it's definitely scary times for sure, for sure.
Well, you know, they were saying that a lot of jobs will not be coming back because of, you know, COVID and you know, just the
Yeah.
way you know, again, your job involves touching people. You know what I'm saying? To give
Mm-hmm.
them a massage. You know, a great masseuse can reach your soul if they know what they're doing. But then
Right.
also don't want to be in a situation where you rubbing somebody and rubbing coronavirus all into your skin. So
And
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, most therapists, we work in closed quarters. Most
Right.
of the rooms don't have windows, and so there's not a lot of ventilation happening.
Right.
And for those who work in, you know, for spas or franchises, there's, you know, the turnover time in between guests is short, so they
Right.
don't have 30 or 45 minutes in between clients to wipe down and air out and ventilate. So a lot of therapists, like you said, are not returning to work. And I think we're gonna see that across a lot of other industries as well.
I'm a person, I tell people, I hate to sound selfish, or I hate to sound as if, I'm so highbrowed, but I'm one of those people that I enjoy services. I enjoy a facial. I enjoy a massage. I enjoy a
Mm-hmm.
shave, grooming, all of that kind of stuff. And all of those different services have to be very personal. These people have to be up
Yes.
on you and close, even the dentist.
Yes.
So it's going to be a new way of us doing things and a new way of thinking about things. Well, let me tell you this, my dear. It is being reported that here in the city of Chicago, the highest
Mm-hmm.
rate of COVID-19 cases, well, I shouldn't just say in Chicago, but in the state of Illinois, is now the 20-something demographic. This population, I guess, has been out having fun, smacking, flipping, rubbing each other.
Right. No mask.
Right, booty up, cheeks down. I mean, they have been
Don't
doing
stop. Get it.
things
Get
through
it.
that. Right, they don't stop, get it, all that, doing the percolator, all of that. And so they are now the highest number of COVID cases in our state. And so what do you think we can do to kind of just talk to these young people? Because I've seen them. Look, all of downtown
Listen,
Saturday was flooded with young people.
you know, that's a tough call because we were 21s, right? And
Oh, I knew
when
you was
you're
gonna
at
say
that
that,
at
girl. I
that
knew you was
age,
gonna say that.
when we're at the age, you think that you're invincible. You just think it can't happen to you. And to be honest, I find difficulty with how to reach that. I was at an event this weekend, and the split was clear. You could clearly tell the middle aged to older adults, right, that were there. Everybody was masked up and social distancing, and then the younger people that were there, they were clustered up and no masks and talking and conversing. And so the distinction was very clear. And I was sitting there thinking to myself, oh my goodness, what is happening here? And it's going to take a lot of work. I'm not sure what the strategy is going to look like, but we have got to start doing what we can to reach these young people, because when you're at that age, it doesn't hit home. It's not real until it happens to you.
Right.
And that's something we don't want to see. We don't want to see those numbers, amongst those young people continue to spike. That's something we definitely don't want to see.
Right. Well, of course, over the weekend, I had to make a couple of appearances at places, and anywhere that I particularly go, even if I'm going to dinner, wherever it is, I remain in the vehicle until it's time for me to get out, go in.
Yes.
When I usually go in, I'm with someone who is scouting out someplace where I can sit away from people. There's open air. I have my mask on for the most part. Just FYI, a couple of people was like, well, wait a minute, you didn't have your mask on in that picture. Well, here's the thing. I take plenty of pictures with the mask on. You guys know I always show you my outfit with
We've seen them coordinated.
Sometimes when you are with certain celebrity people, you have to take the mask off for PR and taking the picture. And so everybody was masked up everywhere I went this weekend. But I've noticed a lot of people having situations where nobody has a mask on. There are several videos. There's one article about a white trash party that was this weekend. And
I saw that.
Yeah, and white trash, they wasn't having no mask on. But then there was a party of some African Americans, kind of a pool party, and they was passing blunts and having a good time. And and see, I'm not doing none of that. None of that.
Yeah.
No. Mm-mm.
It's summertime shy, and people want their summer, and it's and I can understand the antsiness, right? Because I'm used to being out and enjoying summer. We just hit August. August is my birthday month. I'm used to being out and about. So while I understand the desire, right? I understand that itch, that wanting to get out and be about. But at the same time, sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the bigger picture. If we stay safe, if we stay healthy, we'll see summertime shy 2021. Yeah. But if we don't, things could get a lot worse before they start to get better. And that's what I don't want to see.
Well, being someone who has had surgeries before, being someone who, has battled cancer, there have been many seasons that I've missed just recuperating, convalescing, just
Yes,
trying to get back on my feet, all of that. So I tell people, if you're faithful and believe and trust in God, there'll be another summer next year and a summer after that. But right now,
absolutely.
we've got to protect ourselves. So
We have to. We have to.
mhm,
And it's not just about protecting ourselves, it's about protecting our loved ones and those around us,
right,
because while the younger people, they may get it and they may recover, it's the grandmothers, the moms, the
right,
dad,
right.
the elderly uncles and aunts. Those are the ones that could be most susceptible and may
Right.
not be as fortunate to recover. So it's not only about protecting ourselves, but it's protecting our others in our community.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I could not have said it better. And so this is my reminder to all of you all. I thought I had brought me a mask in here, or I did. All right, so here's the reminder, ladies and gentlemen. Wear your mask. Wear your mask. Look, wear
Yes,
your mask
yes,
like a puppet. Wear your mask. Please sanitize. Sanitize.
yes,
Look, it's this easy. It really is. It's been tearing up my cuticles, but I've been sanitizing. Wash your hands,
yes,
social distance, and do your best to try to keep your ass in the house when you can. I understand because
absolutely,
I'm getting a fever too of wanting to get out and do some things,
absolutely.
but we've got to stay healthy, we've got to stay safe, and we've got to cut this COVID number down, correct?
We got to stay diligent. We have to.
All right, well, let's continue on in the news.
Okay.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker announced on Monday the launch of a $5 million multimedia campaign to push the use of face masks. I just said it,
Okay.
to slow
Mhm.
the spread of coronavirus or COVID-19. He said that, they might start giving people fines for not wearing these masks, but he wants to put this ad campaign out to encourage people. This ad campaign's tagline is, "It only works if you wear it." And it will focus on cities and counties around the state. And, work must be done to get people to put these masks on. And so he actually launched the effort in Springfield days
Mhm.
after Sangamon County was one of the 11 counties in the state flagged by the Illinois Department of Public Health at a warning level. So now, that's downstate. And remember,
Uh-huh.
there was that Republican
That
gentleman
sued
who was
him.
trying to fight the governor, like,
Yes.
look, that's a Chicago thing, that's a Northern Illinois thing. This is
Yes, I
not
remember
right.
that.
Right. Well,
Yes.
now it is starting to spread in the southern part of the
Yeah.
state as well, too. What do you think of his new campaign? I'm happy to hear about his new campaign.
Money can be a great motivator, and during this time when we're talking about, civil engagement and trying to make a statement and make change, a lot of those motivators, you hear people will say, hit them in their pockets.
Right.
They're
Right.
like, signs are nice and, slogans are nice, but unless they feel it in their pockets, a lot of people times you won't get that response. And so, it could be a motivator. People start
Hmm.
getting fined, and they start to feel it financially. It could be, a game changer in pushing people to do, the right thing.
Well, the argument is going to be my freedom of speech. People are, look, my freedom of
Yeah.
speech, my rights, I don't want to wear no damn mask. And, a lot of people are already thinking this is a conspiracy theory. A lot of people think this is a
Yeah.
political hoax and setup. So, I mean, you just never know, really,
Yeah, and the thing is, I get that, but and I don't know if this is a quote or someone said this or where I can't remember where I read it or heard it, but it's we all have that right, to pursue our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, unless your pursuit infringes on my life,
right.
liberty, and
Yeah.
pursuit of happiness,
Yeah.
and we're all free to choose what we want to do, regardless of where you stand on this issue, but we're not free from the consequences.
Right.
of those choices. So, be it fines that are implemented or businesses that opt, not to serve you or let you into their establishment, whatever side of the coin you're on, there are going to be consequences. And whatever your position is, stand strong in it and be prepared to face what comes or what happens, as a result of that.
Right, right. Very good. You're absolutely right about that. Good job on that. Mayor Lori Lightfoot is going to now start cracking down on people who are having parties. The city shut down a party on Friday night that was scheduled to go to 4 in the morning. The party was at a trap music warehouse event in West Humboldt Park. And so I know what trap music is. I pretty much know the demographic who listens to trap music. But then I've also seen other people have rather large gatherings. I know people that have had weddings during all of this. I know people who have had family reunions of at least 100 people during this. So I don't know. It's kind of dicey. Do we take the chance or do we follow the mandate and the guidelines? And I'm trying to follow the mandate and the guidelines.
Now, is she talking about cracking down on all gatherings of this sort, or just these parties?
Gatherings that people have been promoting, advertising, talking about. Y'all know you quick to go to social media and brag about with me and 300 people at this damn party. You know you quick to do that, right?
The question that I would have, and listen, I love me some Auntie Mayor Lori Lightfoot, right? My question or concern would be, how would you go about enforcing that? Because you can't be everywhere at all at once, right? You can crack down, on a party over here, but there may be still something going on the other side of town. So that would be, how can you effectively and efficiently enforce these crackdowns?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. But here's the deal. So many people are on social media and bragging and talking about it. And there are certain people who the news department follows their page.
Okay.
The news department follows their page. You get what I'm saying? Like if I post something on my page about
a big gathering
got shot or a major accident or whatever, news stations call me or get in touch with me right away.
I see.
Like, hey, what happened? What's the deal? Do you know who's connected to this? But that's because I have a connection with media, being in media. But the police, the police oftentimes follow Pookie and them page, or people, kind of.
Well, that is true. That is true.
They kind of, these young folks kind of tell on themselves on a lot of the stuff that they have been doing. And what they're getting ready to do next, and it's getting ready to go down in the wild, and all of that. So that's kind of how it works. All right.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Our thoughts and prayers go out to a young man in the city of Atlanta, Justin Hunter, 17 years old, a senior linebacker at John Creeks High School, lost both of his parents to COVID-19. His dad was Eugene, his mother was Angie, and all three of them had COVID-19. Now, he did, and both of his parents, just 2 weeks ago. His dad went in hospital and died, and his mother ended up dying 4 days later. And he couldn't even go to the hospital to see his parents because he still was in the quarantine stage, and all he could do was to say goodbye to his parents on a telephone. And that is the most heart-wrenching thing I've heard in a long time. So I want us all to embrace Justin Hunter and become his new godparents, become his new family. I don't care who you are.
Amen.
That is the most touching story I've ever, heart-wrenching. I
could not even begin to imagine as a young teenager to lose both of my parents in such a fashion. So my heart and prayers definitely go out to that young man. And like you said, we all need to symbolically, embrace him, adopt him. They say it takes a village and step up and just surround him with positive energy and love.
If nothing else, I want somebody to step up and give that young man scholarships, make sure his housing is right, whatever it is that he needs. Imagine a global pandemic comes along, first of all, then you and your
Right.
entire family contract this disease, and the people who gave you life have now lost their
Are
life.
gone. Yeah.
It's just, it's more than you can actually fathom. You know what I'm saying? Just ridiculous.
Yes.
Yes. All
Yes.
right. So everybody, please keep Justin Hunter, 17 years old, in your prayers. And just like we say the names of African Americans who have died, we now have got to say the names of our young people who are struggling to just stay afloat. Because I just
Yes.
unbelievable. Just really it is. All right. For all of you all that attend the University of Illinois down in Champaign-Urbana, the Champaign campus, if you do go back to school on campus, they will now require you to take 2 COVID-19 tests weekly. And this is for the students and the faculty. So if you decide that you want to go and take in-person class, you will now be tested twice a week for COVID-19. Could you look? I don't know if I'd be able to even take this. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Michelle, what help me with this?
So there's a couple of things. So you're going to be tested twice a week, but isn't there still like that 5 to 10 day window or 2 to 5 day window for the test results to come back? So I'm concerned a little bit about just the kind of overlap of perhaps false positives or even false
Honey,
negatives being in that short window, number one. But then the stress, how are you going to concentrate on school and studies if you're focusing on getting tested twice a week? And then if you are tested positive, what happens? Are they going to send you home? Are they going to wait for a certain percentage and then shut down the campus? Like, how's that all going to work?
well, and even think about everybody who's in class with you,
Yes.
everybody that you've come in contact with. It's just not about class. It's about leaving class and maybe going and grabbing a slice of pizza or whatever the
Right.
case may be. I may have to have a U of I alum on to see what they think about this whole decision. This is another conversation for this week, because that's deep to me. And what this is saying is that they're going to be offered rapid testing. That school is not going to BS. They want that money. And I'm telling you, they're going to be able to offer rapid testing because, like you said, that waiting period and you sitting around not knowing, and then God forbid, you and your little boo thing get together one night. Right.
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 And then during the waiting period, you're still going to class, you're still interacting with other people and potentially, coming in contact with other people. And what about faculty? If faculty gets it, are they bringing in substitute faculty? Is that class done? And there's so many different variables and so many factors. And ultimately, if they go and have to shut down, I feel like they'll lose even more money.
Right.
It's a mess. It sounds like it's gonna be a big mess, but I guess we'll just have to watch and see. I don't envy those kids who are being bold enough and brave enough to go back. It couldn't be me. I would be online learning all the way.
Well, I've been talking to quite a few young people and their parents, and I've been saying, like, hey, have you made a decision on what's going to happen? And a lot of my young people who are going into their sophomore year of college, they're opting to stay at home. I think for every young person that's a freshman, an inbound freshman, they want that experience of, we drove cross country. We packed up all of my stuff. We flew. Here I am, an adult, stepping off this plane, starting a new life. I think I get that. Every high school senior wants that experience. But most of the sophomores I talk to, they said, no, I'll be good at home. You're right. We done cleaned out a closet in the basement and called it my study. Or better yet, quite a few parents even told me that they were having extra rooms built on their house or things reconfigured so that the college student could have that experience and not be bothered. They were going to respect the fact that the college student has earned its right to be considered a young adult. And I thought that was beautiful.
And I do understand that, especially now, because it's like the pandemic already took that special moment of their senior year away from them. And then, going into your freshman year, that's also a very special thing. So I can understand them not wanting to have both of those,
Right.
snatched from
Yeah.
you in the same year. So I get what you're saying, them feeling that way, that they want to at least have that experience.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, we got one more story that we want to talk about in Hot Topics before we move on to our guest this evening. I'm excited to welcome her to the show in just a little bit. Michelle, how was your weekend? Did you do anything?
My weekend was amazing. Speaking about college kids, I actually went and honored one of my god nieces. She's a graduating senior from Lane Tech, so we did a socially distanced trunk party for her. She's Howard bound, and like you, she's going to be one of those freshmen that is going to at least attempt to have that on-campus freshman experience. And so it was good to get out of the house and be out and into the city, even though we were masked up and socially distanced. So I just enjoyed my weekend, loving on the young people, and seeing them try to relish some semblance of that, transition period between high school and college. So it's a pretty chill weekend. The weather was great. Got to, soak up some sun. So it was a nice chill weekend.
Yes, it was. Okay, very good. Real quick, we want to congratulate Colin Kaepernick and Dr. Fauci. They both are going
Yes.
to receive the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Award. Former NFL star turned activist Colin Kaepernick and the nation's leading infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, are among a list of 2020 recipients of the Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Ripple of Hope Award. The official announcement was done last Tuesday on the 28th, and it states that they will honor outstanding leaders who have demonstrated a commitment to social change, recognizing individuals across government, business, advocacy, and entertainment who have utilized their platform for public good. And so Colin Kaepernick was so excited that he referenced back to the time when Harry Belafonte, of course, human rights activist and civil rights activist, he received the same award in 2017. And he said
Okay.
it was a shining moment to see Harry Belafonte receive that award, and we will agree. And Dr. Fauci's honor follows his courageous response and his brave efforts
Yeah.
in the face of political opposition as he leads the White House task force during this growing coronavirus epidemic. I love Dr. Fauci, and I think
Yes.
right. Y'all stop giving him shade and stop acting crazy with Dr. Fauci. I like him, and the lady doctor, I like her too, because she's starting to think, listen, this is not as easy as most people would think it is.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. All right. Well, Michelle, you having a good time so far?
I am having a wonderful time. I am having a great time.
Well,
Yes.
you're doing a great job as co-host, and I really do appreciate you. For those of you all who are just joining us, welcome to the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy, and we are here until 8:30, 9 o'clock. However we feel, however we roll.
Right.
This is a reality news entertainment show. We hope that you take away a lot of great information each and every night. If you guys enjoy this show, please do me a favor. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show.
That button.
Easy and simple. Just hit that button. It costs you nothing. Nothing will come in the mail every month with a reminder notice that you owe me some money. It won't do that. I won't come knock on your door on a Saturday morning and ask, do you believe in Chat Daddy? I won't do any of that. But if you go over there and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, it helps to build the show and it helps to bring advertisers to the show. All right. Another thing, I have another great week of just show after show for you guys that you will enjoy. I've deemed August Chat Daddy's Health and Fitness Month shows. We're dealing with your physical, your mental, and your spiritual this month. And so I'm going to have some dynamic guests on board to talk about some great things that will be of help to you and your family. Our co-host tonight, the amazing Michelle M. Johnson, is talking about endometriosis. She'll tell us all about that later, so we'll understand what endometriosis is. Well, our next guest is a young lady. Man, I got to reading about her, and then I got a book in the mail, and I'm just excited whenever I can bring someone on this show that will bring a wealth of knowledge to this audience, but also is a wonderful storyteller, someone that's open and honest and will share their journey with you. Let me tell you all about our guest this evening. She was born with a disability, bullied throughout school, and became a victim of sexual child abuse. She has rose to levels like you would not believe, being a speaker, an author, a poet, just an all around great woman. And we're having this conversation this evening because now more than ever during summer, and you mix a global pandemic in there, human sex trafficking is at an all-time high. And so to help us tonight to understand the entire world of it, how it works, is the amazing Miss Chong Kim. How are you? Let me add you to the stream. Hi. Can you hear us? Oh, your mic is muted.
She's muted.
Yeah, let's unmute it. All right. Oh, wait, I think I muted you. All right. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you here with us tonight, Chong.
Yes.
I'm
You
honored
look
to be on your
just
show.
beautiful.
Thank
you
you.
so much. So, Chong, let's start off with you telling everybody a little bit about your background growing up. And then I have the list that was sent to me, but just from reading your book and just hearing your backstory, you are really a walking miracle.
Yes. So to tell everyone a little about me, I was actually born in South Korea, and I was born with a disability. And so I actually had doctors that didn't believe that I could make it up to 1 year old. My uncle, who served in the military, he was the one who brought me to the United States. So the first place we moved to was Dallas, Texas. And so I grew up in Oklahoma most of my life. And both my parents, they were both orphans. So they didn't have the proper education. And throughout growing up in Oklahoma, there was a lot of things that my parents were unaware and uneducated about. One of the things were my mom's friend had a babysitting job, and that's where the babysitter had raped me at the age of 3, going on all the way to the age of 6. So imagine a 3-year-old child having to
Oh,
go to a
no.
daycare Monday through
Wow.
Friday for 3 years with a man that is raping a toddler. And so, but the abuse didn't stop there. I was also sexually abused with multiple men that I went to church with, um, even schools. There's something about predators that can sense a child has been damaged or has been what I call infected. And so because you never hear about a child that has a happy life, and you don't hear about them having a happy and healthy upbringing, that all of a sudden they've been harmed, as a small child. Once a child has been infected or has been touched by a predator, all of a sudden that it's kind of like that aura. All the other predators can smell that child. They can tell that child has been touched before. And then also the other thing is, the family dynamics is also really big, because when parents don't know what to do, and I see this a lot of times when parents do find out that their child has been touched, they just want to go back to normal.
Right,
Well, what does normal look like? We
right.
need to look at the family dynamics. And so with me, not to exploit my family or anything, but I did grow up with child abuse. My mother was a stay-at-home wife. My father was the breadwinner, but there was also the cultural aspect. My dad would say, you're Korean, you need to act like this. My mom said the same thing. You're Korean, you need to act like this. I remember being a young girl saying, I don't want to be Korean. I don't want to stay home and cook and clean and do all these things. And I had dreams. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be, you know, um, an attorney. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to save children. And so By the time I was 12 years old, I was also beaten by my mom. Have you ever seen the movie Precious with
Yes.
Monique?
Yes.
I
Yes.
could not finish watching that movie because Monique was basically my mom. And
Wow.
here's the crazy part. Growing up in Oklahoma, but it's all over the United States, people have the stereotype that Asians do not go through child abuse because we stick together, we're quiet, we don't share anything. But people don't realize it's a cultural stigma. I even got shut out of the Korean community in Oklahoma because I told that my mother was beating me. They said, "You have shunned the rest of the family, so you're no longer welcome." And I also felt like an outcast because even with the other Korean American kids, I didn't fit in. I didn't act like them. I didn't, there were certain things I just didn't feel connected with them. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I got into foster care, that's when, they put me in a foster. I went through 15 different foster homes because as a teenager, nobody wants a teenager. Everybody wants cute little babies. Everybody wants, the adorable little children. But here's the sad part: even in the foster home, me and my foster sister, we were placed in a very racist foster parent. They would call me Chinky, and they would call her a racial slur. She was a black young girl, and I had a black baby brother. They also called him a racial slur. There was a lady named Carolyn. She was a youth advocate. So in Oklahoma, after school, we had like this, they call it the day center. They had the pool hall, they had the arcade. It was a place for kids to hang out so that way we wouldn't be swayed by the street.
Right.
And so when me and my foster sister went to Miss Carolyn, we asked her, "What does this word mean?" And it started with a J. And she was the one who reported our foster parents. We were so happy, but we found out that even the head person of the foster care system, they told us that we were ungrateful because this lady took us in. But what they didn't realize, and they did house checks, but the house checks are scheduled. The, these CPS workers need to come unexpected, not when it's scheduled. Because me and my foster sister, who was black, me and her had to eat a regular cereal out of a dog bowl. And we had to eat with our fingers. We couldn't sit at the table with the family. They said, "You're not our children. You don't get to go to family functions." None of that. And so in the 80s, one of the things that me and my foster sister used to do, we used to imagine, we used to pretend that's how we cope. And that's what helped my coping as I got older. By the time I aged out of foster care, I remember being 17 and they said, "Well, you're not cute anymore and you're not a child anymore, so you have to go back home." Meaning I had to go back to the very family that I was running away from. And so nothing
So
was
wait, this is your
changing.
family back in Korea? They were gonna send you back to Korea?
No, my family lived in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
I grew
Okay.
up in Oklahoma all my
Got
life. I became a
you. Okay.
naturalized citizen.
Got you. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you brought that up because I became a naturalized citizen in 1984, and I remember shaking Ronald Reagan's hand, and he said, "Welcome to America. You're now a United States citizen." Because I was 8 years old, 8 or 9 years old at the time, I became a naturalized citizen because of my parents.
Okay.
Now, the downfall is because I wasn't born here, and in Korea back in the 70s, they did not have birth certificates.
Right.
They have what's called a family census.
Yep.
So, fast forward to 10 years later. So, after I aged out of foster care, I wanted to go into law enforcement. And from law enforcement, I was going to transfer to Dallas, Texas to attend DeVry University to get my basics out and also attend the police academy. Well, then I met a guy that I thought loved me. I didn't know anything about red flags. And here's the other thing that I want to share with people: most girls that come from abusive home, they are going to be attracted to an adult man that is just like their upbringing. So if they're used to their father beating on them or they're used to men sexually abusing them, that is what they will attract. or be attracted to. So whenever I hear people say, well, why didn't you see the signs? Well, the signs were always there in my home because it was accepted. And that's the part that people don't understand. So yes, I met this guy who is sweet, charming. He said all the beautiful things. No one taught me certain red flags to look for. And so he said I was beautiful, who wanted to take care of me. I was excited. I call it the Cinderella syndrome. You're looking for that, knight in shining armor on a white horse to take you away from whatever misery.
Right.
Little did I know that he was a recruiter for a human trafficking ring, and this was in 1994. And so from Oklahoma to Dallas, Texas, then we went to Nevada on an Indian reservation, and that's where me and about approximately 20 to 30 girls were held in a warehouse on an Indian reservation. Because here's the thing, on the tribal laws, because we're not Native American, they can't intervene. The FBI cannot rescue us because we're on a reservation. And so here was this organized ring that was going on. But during that time, I thought I was in a foreign country. I did not know this was on American soil. And so when you go through the day-to-day abuse and witnessing girls being murdered, tortured, raped, sodomized, you can't take it anymore. And I remember one of the head traffickers would come and visit the warehouse maybe once or twice a month. And that's when I had to get out of there. So the only way I could strategize my escape at the time was to be bought out by one of the traffickers, become his mistress, and then work my way up to becoming a madam, and then find a way to escape. Basically build my trust with the very people who were holding me, so that way they would think I was on their side. So then I would find an escape route. But it wasn't as easy as I had planned out. And so throughout my life, I remember when I became a madam, and this is where it becomes interesting with the whole Epstein case. When I became a madam, that's when I started seeing the whole infrastructure. And when I talk about being a madam, I'm not talking about street pimps. I never saw a black pimp. I didn't know what a pimp was. These men, they told us we were not allowed to service black men, Native American, and Latino men. 90% of our clients that we had to serve or we were paid for rape, 90% of them were white. The rest of them were either Northeast Asian or Middle Eastern that had money. It was all about status and wealth.
That's right. I believe that.
And so the girls, now me and the girls, majority of us were minorities. So the way the trafficking ring was going on, they would take Black American girls and they would send them overseas because they can't speak Japanese, they can't speak Mandarin or Cantonese, they can't speak German, and so they would isolate them in a way where they would not be able to survive or get the help that they need. Then they would bring in girls from Africa, Jamaica, Nigeria, all over Somalia, and they would bring them to the United States and serve them to rich white people that would use them for domestic servitude, labor trafficking, and even organ trafficking. That's the other thing. Now, when I was a madam, I would see men that were similar to Epstein that would buy girls like us. When I say girls like us, I'm talking about minority American girls. Most of the time we see on the media, and I'm going to be very blunt, most of the time we see on the media all these white girls. I'm glad they're exposing Epstein, but what about our black girls? What about our Latino American? What about our Asian American girls? We don't talk about them. We think it's an overseas issue. Once the traffickers are done with these type of girls, what they do is they impregnate these girls, they steal their babies, and then the baby is recycled back into the human trafficking ring, meaning these babies are born on American soil, but they're considered undocumented. So there's no way for anyone to post a missing person if they don't know that child exists. And then on top of that, there was a girl that worked under me when I became a madam. She was African American. Her stage name was Rihanna. I don't know her real name. She was seeing a senator. This was back in 1996. She was seeing a senator. And she said, guess what? I'm pregnant. She was excited. I said, girl, do not tell him. He's about to be elected. He's showing his family values and all this nonsense. He doesn't care about you. Well, guess what? She disappeared within 3 weeks. She was about 4 months pregnant. But when I told the trafficker, I said, I can't find her. My trafficker said she needs to keep her mouth shut. A month later, she was found in a dumpster in Las Vegas, and the tabloid says another hooker on drugs. She wasn't on drugs. The only thing she smoked was weed. She wasn't into anything about cooking. She wasn't into crack. She wasn't into cocaine. She wasn't into heroin. She had no track marks on her arm. And then the other thing was the medical examiner did not announce anything about an infant. So I'm telling you, when people say that the corruption is at large, it is. And people don't realize how dangerous it is. We can't even keep Epstein safe when we prosecuted him. And so my big fear about his girlfriend is that she's going to be next. My personal and professional opinion, how they prosecuted his girlfriend, I don't think they should have announced it publicly. I think they should have been discreet so that they can get all the names and all the information and then release it once they got their information. But now that they have publicly announced it, do you know that means all the elites that are hearing about her, they're going to call up their connections and everybody else, and they're going to say she needs to be on the hit list. And it's funny because, go ahead.
Your story is just epic. I'm telling you, your book, Page Turner, just from the other stories that I've researched and looked, so now where are your perpetrators? And how long have you been free from all of this now? Because you are a beautiful young lady, but you've been through so much stuff that, sweetheart, it's just good to see how beautiful you are and how you're helping others. Because really, everything you've been through, I would be shattered from that. Really, I would.
Oh.
So where are your perpetrators, and how did you get to the point of healing through this?
Well, first of all, my perpetrators have not been prosecuted. Mm-hmm. There's too many people that are in the upper echelon that has too much power. Even to this day, people still believe in them. People are still voting for them. That's all I'm going to say. And so back in 1998, one of my boyfriends that was really good to me, he said to me, he inspired me to speak out. He said, they're going to come after you anyways. Might as well share it to the world. Because when you shine the light on cockroaches, they tend to flee.
Yes, they do.
So that's what I did. That was my only ammunition to stay safe. So as long as I keep speaking out, it is harder for them to come after me. Now, I will say they have tried to discredit me. They have tried to slander me. But I would say this much. If your voice did not matter, they would not try so hard to silence you.
Yes.
And that's the biggest power is our voice. I want to encourage everyone to utilize your voice because that's bigger than any verdict. That's bigger than any justice. Because as long as I keep speaking out, then I can plant a seed for the next survivor and the next survivor. So that way this doesn't happen to someone else.
Oh my God. I just love you so much, but I'm worried about your safety, your overall, well-being and all of that. Michelle, do you have a question for our guest tonight? I'm really blown away. I'm moved to tears, really.
First of all, I'm just trying to find the words. I am full up just listening to your story. I do have a question. having gone through all of that, where and how did you find the courage to begin to share your story? Because when you experience trauma like that and devastation like that, and you make the decision to speak out, you're opening yourself up, you're making yourself incredibly vulnerable. So how and where did you find that strength or that motivation to start to speak out and to share your story?
When I actually used to live in Chicago, and I also used to live in Minneapolis. And so when I was a advocate for a domestic violence center, they brought up human trafficking in 2003. They had the event at the U of M College at the University of Minnesota. There was a Caucasian woman that was speaking. She was from Russia. She started speaking and she was sharing her story. And then a college student asked the three ladies who were considered the expert at the time, they said, can it happen to American women? And all three of them says, no, it does not happen here. I was angry and I said, excuse me, it happened to me. But mind you that the student asked, can it happen to American women? When I stood up and said it happened to me, recognizing myself as an American woman, guess what those three experts did? They called immigration on me. And that's how I found out that American girls who were trafficked were treated differently than foreign girls. So you can take two black girls, okay? One will be from Jamaica and the other one will be from Chicago, Illinois. They're both being beaten and raped by the same trafficker. But guess what happens? And it's still happening today. The girl from Jamaica, she'll get visa, she'll get social services, legal, reparation, housing. Guess what the girl from Chicago get? She'll get handcuffed and thrown into juvie. How do we call them victims and we throw them in jail? It's beyond me. And so one of the things that I want to do and the courage that I'm a very defiant person. Even my boyfriend goes, now I know why you stayed alive because you are stubborn as heck. This is what my boyfriend says. Because I've always been a fighter.
There are so many people texting me right now, like, Art, you gotta be like, people are blown away by this story tonight. They are like, and no, this is a real story, a real woman, you guys. I would never put stories that are not on this show like that. This is a reality, real news entertainment show.
Yes.
And people are just texting me like, my God, Art, you are a walking miracle, really a testimony of when God steps in and shows out and he preserves those who need to be preserved. And that's you.
Absolutely.
Chong,
Absolutely. I told my boyfriend, because he even asked me, how are you alive today? What did you do? How did you make it? And the only thing I can say is God. God is the only answer, because otherwise I would not have made it. And I went through my anger. I've been out of it for over 20 years. The first 10 years that I got out, I was diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress syndrome. I'm diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder and all other types of PTSD. Even to this day, I get triggers from wearing or putting on lotion. Lotion is a trigger for me. I know that we're going through COVID, so one of the things I had to educate people is about the mask, because people don't realize that victims, we get our face covered when we're being raped, when we're being assaulted. So having to put on a mask is also triggering. So I'm trying to encourage the people who make masks, if they can make a ventilation for some of us who are traumatized from sexual assault, domestic violence, or trafficking, so it doesn't become so triggering, but yet we're able to wear the mask to keep us safe and other people. But we need some type of ventilation so that way we can also breathe and not feel claustrophobic in that mental anguish, if that makes sense.
No, it makes great sense.
It does.
And then the other thing is I had to go through intense therapy. One of the big therapy that has helped me was mindfulness. dialectic behavioral therapy, life skills. Those are things that really helped me because being holistic and having to retrain your brain that you're no longer the victim anymore. Um, but one of the big things that I definitely want to push forward is that we need to eliminate the word child prostitute.
Uh-huh.
And then two, here's the other thing I want to share real quick. Human trafficking for American girls actually was started through George Bush Jr. because me and the advocate from Minnesota and Chicago, we went to George Bush Jr. and said we need to start making a law to where our American girls can be protected. He started up what's called the Safe Harbor Law Act, but he wasn't able to finish. So when Obama came in, Obama modified the law to where the girls did not need to be with a pimp in order to be classified as a victim. The Safe Harbor Law protects the child from being incarcerated. The downfall is now that we have our current leader, there are some people that are being biased and will not activate the safe harbor law because of their distaste for Obama. We need to reactivate the safe harbor law because that law actually protects our girls from being incarcerated. What these girls need is not a juvenile detention center, they need rehabilitation center, behavioral health, intense therapy, not a shelter. They need to be detoxed from all the negativity that they were taught because these traffickers, what they do with it's called um, conditioning, learned conditioning, because they brainwash these girls to think nobody loves you, nobody likes you, your parents abuse you, that's why you're nothing. But I feed and clothe you. These traffickers and pimps tell these girls over and over to make them brainwash and to make them truly believe they need to be with these traffickers and pimps. And so when they are found guilty or when they are found re-exploiting other girls, they still need therapy, not incarceration.
Chung, I love you.
Woo.
Look, everybody is just loving this. We are in no hurry tonight. It's not like this show, got a break for commercial, any of that. Are you okay on time right now?
I am great. I am
All right,
great.
Tom, we do. We just love you so much. I've got to have you back because I'm just reading on my various
Absolutely.
pages just how people are. So, what can we do to help with the safe harbor law? Because here's the deal: people back 4 years ago, at the Republican convention, gay male prostitutes made more money than anybody. So again, that speaks to the rich, white, powerful and their sexual, proclivities. And so, what can we do to kind of maybe enforce that this safe harbor law, is able to get out there and help these young people? Because this is just not girls, this is boys nowadays too.
Oh, absolutely. And it also affects the LGBT community. It affects one of the things I would like to encourage, and I'm trying to find a way to reach out to Michelle Obama and Barack Obama so we can bring back the safe harbor law, bring it back to the forefront, and how the Democrats push it, because that's the only way to save our girls and boys from being trafficked. About 10 years ago, I met what they considered a child sexual predator. He was 8 years old. He was an 8-year-old boy. And I said, really? You're going to charge him as a sexual predator?
Wait,
He
wait,
was
wait. An
learning.
8-year-old boy was
Boy,
considered a sexual predator.
yes. And nobody was looking at the dynamics that his stepfather was raping him, so he learned it how to do it with another little girl. That's why he was charged. Instead of charging him, he needed therapy. Because I believe that with that boy being that young, he still had a chance. I truly believe in that. Because everything is a learned behavior. One of the things that I've been very transparent, and I share this, even when I was 7 years old, given the sexual abuse that I went through, I remember bringing porn to school. I didn't know it was bad. It was taught to me by an adult. And I remember the school. would take the port away from me and they would beat me because they said this was bad. But guess what? In my mind, in my mental mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I'm confused because this is an adult showing me porn and you're telling me it's not right. So I'm confused. And that's what happens to a lot of these kids. And so when people say these kids are predator, no, they are not. They're victims. Now, once you pass the threshold of turning 18 and you start to deliberately abuse children, then you have made a conscious choice to be a predator. But as long as you're a child, I believe that there's a way that we can rehabilitate if we catch it when they're still young. But the most important thing, as far as like the safe harbor law, we need to get in contact with Barack Obama because he was the one who finished it. And we need to ask him how to find that act and reactivate that act into our laws, especially with the election coming. And then the other thing is, people need to know the election is not just about Trump and about Biden. It's about our local officials. That's how we can reform the police.
Yeah.
That's how we can educate our school system, our healthcare, everything on a local level. And be sure to ask the important question to these elected officials on a local level, state level, and federal level. What are your thoughts to eradicate human trafficking, and listen to them carefully? And
Right.
then hold them accountable, saying if you don't do anything within 6 months, I think you should be off the bench, or I think you should, step down from your elected position. And I
I
think it's important that we need to hold these people accountable because we're the ones who elected them there, but they
right.
also need to be held accountable for the lack. So that's what I like to share on that as far as like the voting.
Well, Chung, I want to talk about your healing process. During the
Okay.
month of August here on my show, it's all about health and wellness. I know one thing, Chung, when I get off the air, I'm going to have a drink in your honor, sweetheart. I'm going to have a drink.
I understand.
I'm going to have a drink. Because, boy, I mean, just reading about you is one thing. Looking at press clips is another, but I feel as if you're in my living room tonight, and several times I've had to dab my eyes because you've just been through so much. But you turned it into poetry, you turned it into a book. I even heard you say boyfriend in there. And
Yes.
honey, you are a source of inspiration. So when did the healing begin, and how did you go into poetry and writing your book? Let's talk about that.
The poetry actually started way before my trafficking. I started writing when I was a teenager because it was my outlet to speak out about the abuse I was going through at home because I couldn't tell anybody. I couldn't tell the school. Even the school says, well, you're Korean. You need to, be quiet like all the other Asian kids. So I definitely did not have an outlet there. And growing up in Oklahoma, there wasn't a large Asian community. And so the poetry started when I was young. My inspiration actually came in through music. And here's the funny part. One of my biggest inspiration was Maya Angelou, Rosa Parks. I would read about Black history. I would learn from them. They became my inspiration because the women and men, the oppression that they went through. But one of the greatest things to me when I would see them is how the best revenge to get back at your oppressors is to become the success they can never imagine. I mean, look at John Lewis. He was beaten, he was incarcerated, but guess what? He now became the biggest icon, along
Yeah.
with Maya Angelou and
Mhm.
Rosa Parks. And
Right.
so, even as a little girl going through abuse on a day to day basis, being raped and sexually abused, I remember thinking about these heroes and thinking, even though I'm not Black, but they were my heroes because I felt like, you know what? If they can come out of that and still speak out, I can do it too. And that was my biggest goal. I knew that if I kept pushing and I kept speaking, that I was going to change lives. It wasn't so much about trying to get a status. It wasn't about
Amen.
being a celebrity. I really wanted to change lives. And then I got into legal advocacy. That's how I started learning about law. I went to law clinic every single day, even though I was an advocate. It gave me access. So I look at every stepping stone in my life as an avenue to where I'm at today. And then on top of that, my healing, and I'm still healing. I always tell people there's no expiration date to healing.
Ooh,
We
say
heal
it.
as we continuously
Yes, yes.
live. Because when
Wait,
people say, "So have you healed?" I said,
wait,
"I'm
Chong,
still
say that
healing."
again. Wait, real quick. Say that again. What did you say about?
There is no expiration date to healing. We are
Amen.
still
Yes,
healing
yes, yes.
as we continue. And so when people ask me, "So have you healed?" and I said, "I'm still healing." There is no expiration because I believe as long as we're breathing oxygen, as long as we're going through pain, we're still healing. I'm learning, even with my new boyfriend. We've been together for more than 6 months, and he is so patient. There are times I'll get mad at myself and I'll say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. How could I do that?" He'll say, "No, no, Chong, we're not going to be negative today." And he is the first because all my ex-boyfriends, if I messed up, they're like, "You're so stupid. What's wrong with you?" So it's an ongoing battle of even picking out bad boyfriends. And so when my boyfriend, the one that I'm currently with, he would always encourage me. He would say, "No, we're not going to be negative," or he'll say, "Cut that out. That's not allowed." And so he would tell me I'm beautiful. He would say, "You inspire me." He would even tell me sometimes when he would think about what I went through, he said, "I just want to hug you." And so when I share with him my triggers, because I found out I may have eczema, which is a skin rash, and I don't like lotion. And I was crying. I was like, "I don't want to put lotion on." And he's like, I'm sorry that you're hurting. What can I do? How can I help?" He's always asking. He wants to learn. If he hurt my feelings, he actually says, "I'm sorry, that was not intentional. I didn't mean to hurt you." Or he'll say, "Did I trigger you? I apologize if I triggered you." And I have to remind him that when there's a trigger, it does not mean that it's his fault because he doesn't know all my triggers. I'm still learning what my other triggers are. I didn't know the mask was a trigger for me until he started helping me. And then we would design our own masks so that way I could have some ventilations. And so, but he having a support network is also great. I know some survivors don't have a support network, so they lean on social media. But if you can find local groups in on social media, there are tons of survivor groups that you can join, and you can say, "Hey, I've been through this." Be very cautious in some of the groups because some of the groups can be catty, which is really sad. But do your research. Look for the type of groups that will help you, that will uplift you, that will elevate you. And I'm learning what a healthy relationship is. Even me and my boyfriend will look at what is healthy relationship. What are things that we're not supposed to do? So it's like it's giving both of us another chance. And here's the cool part: we're both the same age. We're both in our 40s. We both have grown kids, so we don't want any little kids anymore. But we're both learning about each other at the same time, and that feels great as well. But the most important thing is anytime a survivor gets into a new relationship, here's one thing I will say: do not be ashamed of your scars. And I don't want to use a Marilyn Monroe chant that says, "If he can't handle you at your worst, he doesn't deserve you at your best," because that's not healthy either. Because it's almost giving us the excuse that we can be tyrant, we can be violent, and that's
Mm.
not healthy either. If you find the right person, that person will hold your hand and say, "Let's go through this together. I don't want you to go through this alone." And that's one of the hardest things for a survivor because we're used to carrying the load by ourselves. We're used to handling everything by ourselves. And so it's okay to say, "You know what, let's do this together." That's the other healthy component. But like I said, the other thing is when I do public speaking, I actually return back to counseling because there are times I have to conjure up painful moments and it can be triggering. There are times I have to find what I call a release. And so my release, and this is going to sound crazy, I love Candy Crush. I love iPad games. My boyfriend makes fun of me all the time, and now I got him into those type of games, and now he can't stop. But that's how I find a healthy way, instead of going out and drinking, instead of, getting upset, instead of starting fights. Because that's what I used to do. When I would get mad, I would see someone at a club, I'd be like, what you looking at? You want to fight with me? And it's funny because my boyfriend laughs. He goes, I can't picture the 4'11" Asian girl be boxing with people in the club. And I'm like,
I can. I believe it. I believe it. Look, I've traveled
Yes.
to Seoul, Korea as a flight attendant, so I already know about the sex workers there. I already know that you'd be surprised that a small package will whoop your ass if you're not careful.
Yes.
So I
absolutely.
all of that. I really, so Chung, I'm not surprised. I believe you probably could knock somebody out. I'm just so glad God delivered you from evil, from the beast, the demon. Here you are, beautiful, productive. Look, Michelle, I got jealous when she was talking about this boyfriend. I was like, look, he got
right.
I'm like, dang, it's amazing how God will shift things in your life and turn it around and then
bring it full circle.
Yes.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Michelle, anything you want to say to Chong before we plug our book?
I do have a quick question for you.
Absolutely.
So, as Art and I was speaking earlier, I was speaking on the topic of massage therapy, and as a massage therapist, we work with touch that is healing, it is comforting. But we have seen clients who, have gone through sexual trauma or touch trauma. And so my question for you is, was there a process that you had to go through, or a type of therapy, maybe, that you engaged to reacclimate yourself to receiving or interpreting touch as being positive and healing again, after having gone through so much, traumatic touch? I hope I'm articulating that clearly.
One of the things that I would suggest, I actually used to be a masseuse myself. That's the crazy part. And people make jokes. I'm like, no, I'm not the Asian massage that you think. I don't give happy endings.
Right.
I'm going to pop you in the nose.
Right. Yes. Amen.
What I did with trauma survivors, I would actually, what I did in the past, I actually would create a questionnaire. That way they didn't have to verbally tell me, but I would see it in a sheet that they were trauma survivors. Okay. So then what I would do while I'm giving them massage, I would tell them what type of massage they wanted. And if they said they want this, then while I'm, before I give it to them, I actually ask them, what is a pleasant place that you would like to be in? And for example, I had a friend of mine that would say, I had a friend of mine help me through this, and we talked about, for me, I love coffee shops. So if I were to receive a massage and it can be triggering for me, the masseuse would ask me, so tell me about the coffee shop. And then my mind would go into the coffee shop rather than the trauma touch. Okay. So then I would think about the coffee shop. And then I would talk about, I love the caramel macchiato. Okay. And then even the masseuse would intervene, and she would say, you know what, my favorite is a croissant. And I'd say, yes, I love the croissant with a chocolate drizzle, because you want to help them escape their mind because for people who've not been traumatized, they like the peace and quiet. They like the life escape music. But trauma survivors, we actually don't like that. We like the constant talking. We want to make sure, are you still there? I don't want to feel like I'm alone. Exactly.
Right.
And so each individual, it varies. But ask them about that. Say, would you like to talk about a pleasant moment that you like, or a happy memory that you'd like to share with me? Because some survivors would love to talk while you're giving them a massage.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe that. I really do. I really, really do. And I'm not surprised about you being a massage therapist, because really, as you said, it's not always the happy ending thing. But again, in that line of work, you had to kind of, do some massaging of people. So I get that. Chong, let's talk about your book real quick and how people can get your book. And look, you are our fan favorite now, darling. I love you.
Because I'm ordering it tonight.
Yes. Love you, darling. You are. Go right ahead.
You can order my book, Broken Silence, which became the inspiration for the film called Eden, that you can find on Amazon Prime with Beau Bridges and Jamie Chung. You can find it on my website at www.iamchongkim.com. It's on my website, and you can
Yeah,
look on the
I'm
shelf.
finna put a banner across my thing for you tonight. Hold on, keep talking
Yes,
to the people. How much is the book? And where
1895.
it is? I am Chong King. Chong Kim.
chongkim.com. Yes.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna put it across the screen for everybody. We're gonna buy your book. We're gonna support you.
Yes.
We love
Thank you.
you. What an amazing story. And what I tell people, look, I can get real people who have been through real circumstances to share their stories. And that is what, we are just so fortunate to talk to you tonight. And just to look at you, we would never know what you've been through like that. Just never. Just as beautiful and radiant and have lived a life that none of us could ever imagine. You know what I'm saying? Everybody,
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Absolutely.
That's
And,
all
what,
people are saying.
and one of the things I want to share real quick, I'm also working on a drama series about human trafficking. And it's called
Congratulations.
Every 40 Seconds. In our first pilot, we're trying to pitch it, and hopefully, we're hoping to have it pitched and picked up. But we are having a Black female role. She's playing the survivor. So, this series is an inspiration of my real life working with law enforcement in the aftermath of my trafficking. I have been a consultant. I've done undercover. I even have FBI that still calls me, and I'll say, "Sorry, hon, I already put up my hooker shoes," and they'll
Right.
say it's an 11-year-old girl, and I'm like, "Dang it! Now I gotta pull them out." And so I've done undercover, and so this drama series, it's a fiction base, but it is inspired by my work of activism, teaching FBI how to think like a trafficker. So the TV series I'm trying to get launched is called Every 40 Seconds because it's based on an FBI stat that every 40 seconds a child goes missing. One in every six child falls into human trafficking. And the downfall is Amber Alert will not alert perceived runaways. And so I'm trying to change that. For every child that goes missing needs to be alerted regardless.
Wow. I want to give the number for people to be able to call if they feel as if I have it right here. For those of you all, Boy Chung, you've moved me in so many ways. For those of you all that
Yes.
want to reach out to the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Again, it's the National Human Trafficking Hotline. The number is 1-888-373 7888. Just remember them eights, baby. 1-888-737. No. 373. I'm sorry, 373-7888. Again, 1-888-373-7888. If you know somebody that's in trouble, somebody that needs help, whatever the case may be, that is the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and we want you guys aware. Chung, look, you coming back one night just to even co-host.
Absolutely.
You are.
Woo!
I've fallen so in love with you, but offline, there are so many things that I want to talk to you about because really you are, despite what has happened to you, you are truly a source of inspiration and really just amazing in many different ways. And God bless you, my friend. We are just,
Thank you.
in
Thank you so much.
give us your website one more time.
www.iamchongkim.com.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our amazing guest, Miss Chong Kim. Outstanding job tonight.
Thank you.
Michelle,
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, you want to say to her real quick?
I just want to say thank you for your courage and for your bravery, and for being the vessel and the voice for so many of the voiceless, for being the advocate for so many who cannot speak for themselves, who cannot stand for themselves. I applaud you and I thank you and respect you so very much for that. And keep fighting, keep pushing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be on again. And
Oh,
hopefully we can talk more about the organ trafficking.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. That you got it, Chong. You got it.
Yeah.
That'll be our next show and our next topic with you. I just want to say, God bless you, my friend. I'll inbox you. But you just did a great job. Continue to do well. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only Miss Chong Kim. I am Chong Kim. That's our website. We love you, darling. Have a good night. Thank you
Good
again.
night. Thank you again.
Wow, Michelle. Can you,
Woo!
honey, I'm going to need a cocktail after that
Listen,
conversation.
I had to remind myself several times to breathe.
Right.
When I talk about take your breath away,
Yes,
I am in awe. I
yes,
am in awe and so full with information that I had absolutely no idea. This is the stuff that movies are literally made of. And
yes.
to know that this is happening right here in our cities, on our streets, is just, woo.
And
Yeah.
here's right, Michelle, and imagine the number of other people who have gone through this. The people who are sitting in silence cannot share that they've been abused and molested and trafficked.
Yes.
Just we love her. We do. We really, really
Oof.
do. And so glad to have had her here tonight. I am your host, Chat Daddy. You're tuned into the Monday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. During the entire month of August, we're focusing on health and wellness, but we're doing it from the level of physical, mental, and spiritual. And the story you just heard tonight from Chong Kim is a story of mental and spiritual. How do you rise above what you've been through? Her story is just absolutely incredible. People are just saying, definitely took my breath away. These are the type of stories I will be bringing you guys the entire month of August, as well as I'll be bringing you fitness experts, doctors, people to give you advice on your children going back to school. But in order for this show to remain on the air and to be what it needs to be, I need for you guys to do me a favor. Run over to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy YouTube. That's all you got to do. This show is free. It does not cost you anything. I bring some of the most amazing people ever. So just go over to YouTube, go to the Real Chat Daddy Show, hit the subscribe button. That's all I need for you to do. You can also go to Facebook, the Real Chat Daddy Show, hit that button right there, like that page, start a share and watch party. The more followers, the more people I have, the more I can bring you the type of guests like Chong Kim and her amazing story and other great stories. All right. Michelle M. Johnson is my special co-host this evening. I know, girl, we're going to need a drink after this show. We're going to need
a drink or two.
Or two. Amen. Really. All right. So Michelle is our very special guest co-host tonight, and we're so honored to have her here. And in just a few moments, we're going to talk about endometriosis. But I need to let you guys know about the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. Coming up tomorrow night, you'll meet Amazon best-selling author and business coach. This man has generated more than $4 million for his clients in 2019. So he is winner chicken dinner. Mr. Don Long will be my very special guest co-host tomorrow night. We're excited to welcome him to the show. Also tomorrow night, we'll welcome famed civil rights and wrongful death attorney Cannon Lambert will be here with us tomorrow night. The Sandra Bland story, quite a few other stories. He's a powerhouse, and he'll be here tomorrow night to talk about his career as well as civil rights cases. And then tomorrow night, so Don Long and I are going to have a conversation about male sexuality and health tips for men over 40. Once men get to be 40 years old, you know, things start happening and situations and circumstances with the male body. And so it's called situations and circumstances. Yes?
Situations.
Yes, situations and circumstances. So we're going to talk about them situations and circumstances tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune in. I'm here Monday through Thursday night live via Facebook and YouTube. The Real Chat Daddy Show is all you have to do. If you ever forget, visit my website, therealchatdaddy.com. All All of the information is right there. All right, so Michelle, you are our last guest this evening, darling.
Yes.
Boy, everybody is still loving Chong Kim. I cannot believe this.
I'm still loving her.
I am too. She's a source of inspiration. She really is. So now, Michelle, I want to talk to you about, first of all, what is endometriosis and how does one know that they're suffering with it?
So, endometriosis is a chronic debilitating disease that occurs when tissues that are similar to those that are normally found in the uterus are found outside of the uterus. And so, really quick history lesson. So, every month, right, when a woman has her cycle, the lining of her uterus builds up, breaks down, and if it doesn't get fertilized, it sheds, resulting in her monthly cycle. And so, endometriosis occurs when tissues that are similar, not the same, but similar to that which normally lines our uterus are found in other areas of the body outside of the uterus. And this can lead to excruciating physical pain, abnormally heavy menstrual cycles. It can lead to infertility. It can fuse your organs together. It can cause a whole host of other comorbidities along with this disease. And the troubling part about the disease is that it's often very difficult to tell if you have this disease because a lot of the symptoms of endometriosis actually mimic the same symptoms as other pelvic conditions such as fibroids, some types of cancers, and other conditions. And so it's often difficult to tell. But however, if you find that you have monthly cycles with excessive bleeding to the point where, say, you're soaking through your clothes or you're having very heavy blood clots, or if you find like you're needing to change your tampon or your sanitary napkin more than once within an hour, if you have pain that interferes with daily life activities, you can't walk, you can't go to school, if your pain cannot be controlled with over-the-counter medications, or if you experience, say, low back pain or increased bowel pain specifically around the time of your cycle, then those may be issues worth discussing with your doctor to see if endometriosis is a potential cause.
Wow. Is there an age to this? Does this affect, certain women? Like if a woman is premenopausal, is that a trigger? Does it hit younger women? What is the age range of women that this would hit? And this is a woman thing now, correct?
Well, yes and no. I'll explain that in just one second.
Some dude job talking about endometriosis. You know what I'm saying? Look, bro, you can't have that. Now pick another disease or ailment, but you can't have that, bro. So we'll
talk about that. So in terms of the age thing, there used to be this prevailing thought that this affected women of childbearing age, right? And so that has since been disproven. A girl can start to experience symptoms of endometriosis from any time of the onset of her menstrual cycle. So some girls as young as 9 to 11 can start to experience symptoms or be diagnosed with it. And another myth was that your symptoms went away or you weren't affected by the disease if you hit menopause. That is also untrue. There are lots of women who are well into and beyond the menopausal age that still suffer with symptoms. And so like I said, from 9 to some women well into their 60s or 70s are still can experience symptoms of endometriosis. And so, and for your second question, can men get it? And this is something that I have learned in educating myself about, gender identities and things of that nature. So in terms of, I guess it would be cis men, heterosexual cis men, biological men, it's not as common. But because this disease can be found anywhere in the body, there have been recorded cases of biological men having this disease, although that can be rare. However, trans men, right, can also be affected with the disease as well. You know.
So
trans men.
Because that would be a female turning to a male
who has transitioned
Gotcha.
to male.
Okay,
Exactly. Right.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And so this disease can be anywhere, within the body. And so a lot of people like to think of it as a reproductive disorder, and it's not, because it is one that occurs outside of the uterus. And so I can't stress that enough, because that is a common misconception surrounding the disease.
Okay. All right. What are some things that for people that are watching the show now, if a woman thinks that, you've kind of explained that some things may be not the way they should be, or whatever the case may be, what advice would you want to give these women to go seek help as soon as possible?
Keep a symptom journal. The moment you find that things are not normal, or that something seems off to you, I recommend you chart your symptoms for about, I would say, 1 to 2 months, because unfortunately with this disease, like in terms of women's health, we're discussing health this month, right? There are tests for, STDs, there are tests for cancer in terms of your pap smears, for breast cancer, we have our mammograms, but there is no standardized test, unfortunately, to test for endometriosis. And so you would have to present your symptoms, your history to your doctor, and you would have to really strongly encourage them to perform what is called a laparoscopy diagnosis. And that's where they literally cut you open, and they go in and look to see that the physical disease that is present, because you can see like obstructions and things sometimes on scans or ultrasounds, but the only way to know that is coming from endometriosis and not another similar condition, you have to have that internal laparoscopy surgical procedure done.
All right. So in all of your advocacy work that you've been doing, has modern medicine helped with, women? Because here's another question I have. How has modern medicine helped? And then how long does it take for a doctor to diagnose this? Because there are certain diagnoses that it takes them a while. They've got to research, figure it out. You've got to be damn near dead before they tell you what's going on. So how has that worked? The medicine as well as receiving the diagnosis?
Well, on average, again, because the symptoms of this disease mimics so many other diseases, it takes on average 7 to 12 years to accurately be diagnosed. Let me say that again, 7 to 12 years. That means the majority of people with this disease will suffer at least a decade before they receive an accurate diagnosis, because it's a lot of it revolves around the menstrual cycle. Unfortunately, a lot of us are told as women, suck it up. This is just a part of being a woman. We're often dismissed. Our symptoms are downplayed and downgraded. And so we're not taken seriously until, like you said, for a lot of women, we're damn near dead. Like, that is what happened to me. I literally almost died because I had a tumor that was so big, it almost ruptured, and people were not taking me seriously. So there's that, the long-term diagnosis. And in terms of modern medicine, believe it or not, there have not been that many advances in terms of treating this disease. So right now, there is no definitive cure, right? The closest thing that we have is excision surgery, and that's where a trained specialist goes into the body and cuts the disease out. That's kind of considered the gold standard. There are a whole other host of treatment options, but it's important to note that all of those treatment options only treat the symptoms. They don't do anything for disease. And so in terms of modern medicine, the most recent thing I would say maybe came out about 2 years ago. You may have seen the commercials for this drug called Oralissa, and it's a pill that people take. And
that sounds like something I went to grade school with. Oralissa.
Oralissa, right?
Oralissa. So, hey, Oralissa. I digress. I'm sorry. Hey, right? Oralissa. Right, they done named the medicine after you, Oralissa.
They done named the pill after her.
Right, hey, Oralissa.
It was, being you saw commercials everywhere, and you have people all on the internet saying, oh, this is surgery in a pill, and it's very divisive among the community. And I have my personal thoughts about it, but what I tell people is to do your research, read all of the facts, the good, the bad, the ugly, the side effects, so that whatever choice you make, it is a fully informed, fully educated decision. And even with this new drug, again, for the women that it does help, it only treats the symptoms. And it's only been approved by the FDA to be used, depending on dose, for a maximum of 2 years. So even if you get relief from this drug, after 2 years, you're going to have to find something else, because they have not studied the effects in women beyond 2 years. So there has not been much progress in the way of this disease, which is why myself and other advocates are really working hard and really working tirelessly to change that, because we need better. We definitely need better options.
So what can we do to support you, the mission, the cause? I'm so proud of you. That's why I nominated you to be an ADA fellow, because I think your voice is important. I think the mission in which you stand for is incredible. You being a thriver and a survivor, that is just so incredible. So what can we do that continue to help you with the mission?
Well, my book, Fighting Fiercely, Unveiling the Unknown about Endometriosis, is an excellent resource. Again, not just for the people who have been diagnosed, but for, like you said, those who want to know how they can help, how they can support. I have chapters in the book dedicated to spouses, to mates, to loved ones, and how they can support you if your loved one has been diagnosed. I have chapters for family members, for close girlfriends and close friends, on what you can do to support them. Get involved with some of the organizations on Facebook, some of the support groups. There are Facebook support groups online for friends and family members. Educate yourself. Follow my page. I have a page here on Facebook, Fighting Fiercely, and on Instagram, where I'm always posting information and education. And if there is someone in your life who is exhibiting symptoms, I don't care if they're 9, I don't care if they're 10, I don't care if they're 12, please don't tell them to take a Tylenol and sit down. Please don't make them feel like this is some sort of rites of passage into womanhood. Please don't make them seem like this pain is normal, because it's not. Listen to them. Take them to see a specialist. Take them to see a doctor. Believe them, and take the necessary steps to investigate to see if they have this disease, because the longer it takes to get diagnosed, more than likely the more advanced stage the disease is going to be, and the more difficult it's going to be to treat it.
I love it. I do. Well, Michelle, you've done an extraordinary job tonight. You really have.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you, my little Michelle. Yes,
thank you so much. It's always a good time with you, and I always thank you and appreciate you for supporting me in my advocacy and featuring and highlighting so much about this disease. Because although 1 in 10 people have it, more people are affected with this disease than breast cancer, but yet you hear so very little about it. So I thank you for always giving me a platform and a voice to speak about this.
My pleasure, my love. Everybody is congratulating you on your ADA nomination.
Thank you. Thank
you're in the
y'all.
process of being inducted, and I'm just look, you're a shining star. You make me proud. You make Chat Daddy proud. I love it. You really do. You're making me proud. You're becoming a great leader, and that's what I want out of this. I really do. You've done a magnetic job tonight as co-host. I just, I can't wait to meet Chong Kim in person.
Yes.
And just, just interesting in so many ways, and just how she's talking and so open. And, I guess we've all been just through so much stuff, but her resilience is just incredible.
It is. Absolutely, it is. And she's inspired me tonight. So, she has me even more excited to continue to use my voice and speak out. She's absolutely amazing.
Amen. Darling, tell everybody how they can find your book one more time and your website.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more about my mission, you can find me at www.fightingfiercely.com. You can also find me here on Facebook, Fighting Fiercely. I am on Instagram and Twitter at Fight Fierce Endo. And I also have a YouTube page. Follow me over there for all sorts of good information and education. And I do have paperback and Kindle copies of my book available on Amazon.
Very good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you guys that our guest earlier, Chong Kim's story, her life story, is a film, and it's entitled Eaten, and you can find it on Amazon Prime. Please check out her story. It's an incredible story. Again, it's called Eaten, and it's on Amazon Prime, and we gonna watch it, pay attention. Just honored to have had her as a guest this evening. So we've come to the end of yet another show. Michelle, you had a good time tonight?
I had an amazing time. I learned so much. We laughed a little bit. We educated a little bit. I had a great time.
Yes, I cried a little bit behind the scenes. Her story, I was just weeping because just an amazing story. All right, so I have a few final requests from all of you guys. Thank you for all of you all who have subscribed to my page over on YouTube. Do me a favor, just go right over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It's free, it's easy, it helps me out quite a bit. Also, Facebook, The Real Chat Daddy Show on Facebook. If you go there, like that page, start a watch party. You can share the tonight's show at any particular time. Send it to anybody that you think would enjoy the show. I really would appreciate you guys' love and support. I really would. I thank you guys so very much. The numbers are growing every night on this show of the number of people who are watching or partaking this show, and we really appreciate you guys. For more information about me, visit therealchatdaddy.com, therealchatdaddy.com. Easy, simple, painless, really it is. Tomorrow night, I'll be back with Mr. Sadon Long, fame attorney, Mr. Cannon Lambert, and then we'll be talking about health and sexuality for men over 40. I told Sadon how old I was, Michelle, and he couldn't believe it. You know, I'm old, and I'm actually enjoying my old. I'll be double nickels this year.
Okay, all right. Don't look a day over 40. How about
Thank
that?
You, darling. Thank you. That, you know, my groomer, he always says, Art, I'm gonna take you back to your 40s. I said, oh, well, I appreciate that. Right. And you know, Michelle, and see, I gotta be careful now because I'm looking for one of them 20-year-olds, but they out here, they got the longest. They out here passing and catching Ronas. So you know, I might have to
want that.
Right. I might have to give me something old now. You know what I'm saying? Right. Something old and tested. Right.
I know your show is for men over 40 tomorrow, but I'm gonna be tuning in with my pen and I'm gonna be taking me some notes too.
Okay, well, we're gonna be talking about health and sexuality past 40 because we want everybody to still get the boom boom on when they clear this quarantine.
Come on now.
I'm just saying, stage 6 is when we can have booty calls again. I know the government.
Stage 6.
He gonna call the governor and tell him stage 6 is when we can have booty calls again.
We have booty calls and back on. All right.
Right. That's when we can have booty calls again. Stage 6. Now, whenever that might happen, because we don't know. Look, we get ready to go back to stage 3 and 2. So
don't put that out there.
Girl, they can't get it together. They cannot get it together because these people are not following simple rules. They're not. And let's remind everybody again. Please, ladies and gentlemen,
wear your mask. Ladies and gentlemen,
look how sexy you look with a mask on. See, you could have a busted grill and everything. Won't nobody know. You look cute in your mask. Look, do like me. Get a little reversible mask. See, boom.
All right now,
boom.
okay.
Do that. We want to remind you guys, sanitize. Look, clean them hands of yours. I know
wash them hands.
Sanitizing fluid is just tearing up my cuticles, child, but that's okay. Hands clean. Stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water. Stay hydrated. Eat right. Social distance. And whenever you can, stay your ass in the house. I know it's summer and all that, but have fun in the house, in your backyard. Stay your ass in the house. Stay safe. You want to
my dear say, get somewhere and sit down.
Get somewhere and sat your ass down. Yes, sat down. That's what the old people used to say. That
go somewhere.
Right. Go somewhere and set your ass down. That's all you need to do. And that'll help spread the, coronavirus. Don't y'all
Yeah.
out here doing too much. Halter top, flip flops, and no mask.
Just all
what is
out and open.
Right. What is your and Ursula said your mask under your chin does not count.
Don't count.
Right. We not trying your chin is not coughing. It's up here. All of this.
Cover and above the nose too. Under the nose don't count either.
Yes, right. Well, sometimes when you can't breathe, now, girl, I ain't gonna lie. Every now and then I have to pull it down.
But that's okay. Just make sure you put it back up.
Every now and then that halitosis get to kicking me in the face, and then you gotta put it back. And I've learned to chew more gum, more mints, because you really can't go see the dentist right now. The dentist is tripping on you coming. Right. So yes. All right. So on behalf of my co-host tonight, the beautiful Miss Michelle N. Johnson, she's an advocate for endometriosis, I should say. That's how you say it. And our wonderful guest tonight, Miss Chong Kim. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in to the Monday night edition of the Chat Daddy Show. This show gets longer and longer every night, but that's okay because people are loving it, and we're loving you guys for loving the show. I want you guys to have a wonderful night. Remember, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay hydrated, eat right, and keep your ass in the house.
In the house.
All right. We love you guys. We're out, and good night.
Love you guys. Have a great night.